I'm Chef Leander, and this is Small Kitchen, Big Taste. And today we are going to do a lesson in knife skills. Speed isn't important, but you do want to be safe and accurate with your knife. One of the most important things about your knife is that it be sharp. A dull knife is a dangerous knife. If you check in our store on the website, you'll see that we have these $12 knife sharpeners, and they're fantastic. Super easy to use. The left sharpening stone is the coarse one, so you start there. 5, 6, 7. Then you go to the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and one more on the far right outside. 5, 6, 7. All right, now let's talk a little bit about the geography on the knife. Obviously, that's the sharp blade. You want to be careful on that end, but notice that it is curved here on the end. That allows you to rock the knife. You're familiar with the knife that's more pointed on one end. That's the Alfred Hitchcock knife, and that really is not what a chef would use, because you want the stability of this long, wide surface. Here is celery to dice. I'm going to use this for Leander's vegetable stock. Notice that I'm going forward with the knife, and I'm doing a little bit of this motion. A stationary blade doesn't cut. But if you're moving with it, even just rocking it, that will slice nicely. Now we have green onions. What are we going to do with those? Well, there are actually two techniques for the green onions. One is pretty much what we just did with the celery, a chop. Now with this, you can put your fingers upside so that when you get to the blade, it's going to rest against your fingers, and then I can actually chop and not watch myself because I know I'm not going to hit my fingers. The other thing with green onion, you see this all the time for a garnish, because you can get a really thin slice if you're coming up against those knuckles, and you can see how finely sliced these green onions are. Next, we're going to do a pepper. That's really easy. We're just going to take the top off. With a pepper, all of the heat is in the seeds that are inside, and so you want to just kind of pull that out of there. If I were going to do this for a Buddha bowl, or if I were going to do it in a quinoa salad, I would take all of the insides out, cut it in half, smash this one so it's flat, and then you can get really nice strips. Notice that the knife is moving. The knife is moving, the fingers are tucked. Square up that end, and we can have either strips or we can have diced. Now we have some bok choy to slice up. And in this case, depending on what texture you want, I'm going to do almost a chiffonade kind of texture, and we'll come back to that in a minute. But I'm just, again, notice that I'm going with that circular motion with the knife, and it just goes through real easy, real quick. Now I'm going to show you what a real chiffonade is. I love chiffonade when I'm doing spinach in a salad, because I hate poking into a salad and you bring it up and you've got this huge thing you're trying to cram in your mouth and be delicate about it at the same time. So this is one way of helping your guests out. And so I'm taking a stack of spinach leaves, rolling them up, and then cutting across the roll. And you can see how this texture is very different. It looks more finished than just chopping and getting something to happen. Okay? It all tastes the same. Not a problem. And one last slice and dice technique. I like taking the stems off my mushrooms. They're going directly into the stock pot at the moment. And then this is the way I rough chop. Slice them 3 at a time, like so. And then I can go the other way. And in no time at all, you've sliced almost a dozen mushrooms. Next, we're going to cut up some more firm vegetables, and there are a few techniques that are really helpful. First of all, for a carrot, I have a knife-proof glove. And the nice thing about this glove is it came for free with the knife sharpener. Should tell you something about how sharp they think the knife's going to be. So I'm just going to go down the middle of this. This is how I would do it if I were going to do mirepoix. So I'm looking for a fairly small dice, and I'm going to go sideways down the carrot, and then I can just come right back by here. Notice the left hand, even with the glove on, I'm being really careful. And I'm just going to slice down this, and there is. Now notice I'm going moderately quick. I've seen people who can do it so much faster than I can, but that's not important. What's important is that it gets cut. And we're also looking for pieces that are about the same size, because the more uniform they are in size, the more uniform they'll cook. Now here's another way I enjoy cutting carrots. I will roll the carrot while I'm cutting it and cut it into fairly substantial chunks. And as I'm rolling it, I'm getting different shapes. Gives it a really rustic look to go in a soup. Now when it comes to cutting a potato, we've talked before about having a flat side on everything you're cutting. So I'm going to take that off, and that gives me a good solid flat surface on the potato to work. Then I can go that way on one end, I'll go this way. Now, regardless of how I want to cut the potato, I've got a flat side to work with, okay? This potato is now going to become planks. And it's obvious why we call them planks, okay? Then I'm going to turn the other way and turn. These are going to make now sticks. Now, once I've got the sticks, then I'm going to go cubes. Now, regardless of the direction I'm cutting about the same distance. Now, when I do this, I've got very even cubes that are essentially all the same size. We're going to go to leafy vegetables. You know, it's cilantro. So this is the leaf, this is the stem, and the easiest way to dice this up is to kind of give it a shave. That pulls off the leaves, more leaves than stems. And you're good to go. You're left with almost all stems. Those can go in the recycling, or you can chop them finely and put them in a broth or a stew or something like that. For chopping the cilantro, as you well know, I'm fond of both cilantro and parsley as a confetti garnish. And so for that, I just notice the knife is rocking. That allows it to slice better. And I just go both ways. And then with the back of my knife, I pull it together. And I go one more time through this way. And one more time through this way. And there we have cilantro confetti. That can go in a dish, or it can go as a garnish on your plate. The onion is going to leave residue on your cutting board, and so you want to do onions and garlic as late in the food prep process as you can. I always am a little bit conflicted with that because garlic, once it's chopped, it loses, for a moment, it loses its health properties. I usually use a separate cutting board and I chop it at the very beginning so that once it's set in the open air for 20 minutes, those healing properties come back to the garlic. There's something about the oxidation that really makes a difference in terms of its healing properties. So now we have the bane of every kitchen. We've all experienced crying with an onion. Let me show you a couple of ideas that can make that better. First of all, cut across the onion and peel it. And I'm just trying to take off that outside paper peel, maybe one layer next to that. Now, one of the things that is true with onions is all of that stuff that makes you cry is inside the cell of the onion. So if your knife is dull, you're going to get a lot of spray of that toxic chemical. If you want to be less irritated, clean your knife and let's sharpen it one more time. 1, 2, 7. Now we have a very nice, very sharp knife, and that is going to protect us from too many chemicals. Okay, so here's the root end, and I want that in my passive hand. And there are several ways you can do this, but I just like doing it really rustic. So because you've got layers going in a circle, you can just cut for the center of that circle. And I'm just going to make, you can do this as thinly or as thickly as you like, but notice that I've used the root to hold the onion together. Now that the onion's all held together, fingers in a good position, and there you go. 6, 7, 8. 8 slices. I've got the bad end of the onion left, and everything else is diced up nicely, and there wasn't time to start crying. I've got about a dozen cloves of garlic I'm going to need today, so I'm going to chop them all at once, and we'll show you a couple of different things. So with garlic, I like, it's just sometimes hard to get in here with your fingers and cut it too fine. So when I'm going for a minced garlic, I'm just going to go down the line and with the side of my knife, flatten that garlic. One more there. Now they're all going to stay where they're put. I'm using the curved front edge of the knife to be able to rock it, and then I can just kind of leave that in one place and move the knife. So here we go. That's exactly what I'm doing here. Notice that my finger is on top. My fingers are on top of the knife, not underneath the knife. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, and this is fun because you could really make it look like you've got really fast knife speed. Yes, go. But and there you have minced garlic. If you want it minced more finely, go the other way. And I do want to show you one other thing that I find really helpful. If I'm making some pesto, I want the garlic to be really smooth, and I'll add some salt to my cutting surface. Put some garlic. I think, Brian, we're going to want to get real close on this. I'm putting the garlic into the salt, and then I'm using the edge of my knife to smash that garlic into the salt. And I can go both ways on that, and you'll see that it's starting to form a paste. And I'm going to do that again. And that paste then becomes the beginning of my pesto. All right? So there's one other technique for garlic. You can use it chopped, minced, or pasted. That's cooking school for today. We'll do another one in a few weeks that talks about how to cut fruits. I'm Chef Leander. If you enjoyed this session, check out our webpage. You can find all the information you need, including like and subscribe, if you go to the description. Have a great week. I'm Chef Leander. To your health.